Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are at game number 2 between Dez and QXC. This time we are on the map Antigua Shipyard. Game 1, QXC didn't have to do much. Just defended himself against Dez's 8-gate push with level 1 weapons and armor upgrades. But he was sitting Stalker heavy, and as we saw, QXC was able to quite handily tear right through that with the forces that he had. And by the time Dez actually made his strong push, QXC had finished his stim pack research, plus he had medevacs in play. That was more than enough for him to handle it. We even saw 3 bunkers get placed down by QXC that he didn't even need. He took defensive measures that he did not even need and ended up actually salvaging those pretty much immediately after finishing them. So that just goes to show you how easy of a time QXC had defending against that. But again, we are here in game number 2, this time on the map Antigua Shipyard. And we'll have to keep a close eye. We saw very interesting openings from both players, with QXC trying to open up with 2 racks Marine aggression. And we saw Dez go Forge Fast Expand, actually getting the Nexus first and then getting a Forge and coming out with a few cannons as frontal defense from Marines. This time appears to be playing a little bit more standard, at least thus far, as he places down his gateway. And then we'll see him go from there with the most likely an Assimilator, followed up by another Pylon and a Cybernetics Core. Calling it now, we'll see if he decides to stick to that standard play. We have a Refinery coming out here for QXC. QXC also checking the edge of his base, wants to see if Dez is trying any cheese. Just wants to make sure there's no hidden probe scouts or anything like that over there. Also now finally moving out with a scout. Let's take a look at where he's going to be going first. Is he going straight cross-positional? Appears to be doing that very thing. Going immediately now cross-positional. As you can see, plans to scout right up into that main and then pull back there immediately after the fact. Grabs the tower in transit. Sees that there is no scout coming from his opponent, Dez, and there's the Cyber Core. So again, everything looking pretty once more standard here. Dez only mining with a few here. He's actually going to be pulling those probes in there once they complete from the Nexus to get that full saturation, keeping everyone on his mineral line, getting a very, very nice saturation. Very strong mineral economy early on. QXC's SCV scout makes it up into the main, sees pretty much standard stuff here. Back over here, what is he doing? That's what I'm really wondering right now. Going straight to a factory? Yes, he is. QXC opening up with a very quick factory here immediately after that barracks, so we're not seeing that 1 racks expand build. Also get an idle SCV, which is a little disappointing to see. So hopefully QXC remedies that situation in a second. We do have a Nexus coming out here for Dez. Again, remember that he didn't immediately saturate that Assimilator. He just let probes pull into that once they finished building. That gave him a little bit extra minerals early on, which allowed him to come out with that Nexus a wee bit earlier. So going straight for that expansion there. Let's take a look at what QXC is going to do after this factory, though. That's the question, isn't it? Bunker again placed down at front, just for some early defense, and there it is. Coming out with a Hellion. So I expect to see a starport now, and then after that we expect to see a medevac. And QXC will be trying to do some damage there with those Marines, Hellions, and the medevac. Zella is pushed back. This is going to make it so that Dez has really no scouting up until the point he eventually gets an observer in play. There's no scouting that he's going to be able to do right now, because that is more than ample defense there for QXC. And the problem, of course, there for Dez is that he is not sure exactly what to expect from QXC. He doesn't know if there's an expansion coming out. I don't think that he had no scouting done whatsoever, so he did not move out with a probe scout early on, which means Dez is completely in the dark other than this bunker. He's got no idea what's going on. Medevac gets delayed as we have a bit of supply block here. QXC finally able to alleviate that with that supply depot, going straight into another one to make sure that doesn't happen again. It's already sitting at 38 of 43. But again, we do have those Marines and Hellions plus this medevac early on. And we're going to see some damage done with this. Another Hellion coming into play, so he could just go straight for that Hellion drop and nothing else. Try to do some economic damage. Robotics finally coming out here for Mr. Dez. Dez also protecting the front there with the few units. So both players here still kind of passive. We'll be seeing some action once more in just a moment. QXC will also be placing down a command center to coincide with this pressure that he's about to move out with. And there it is. Handful of Marines plus the Hellions. You can see they're completely avoiding that Zelnaga tower. Wants to make sure that Dez doesn't scout this out. And is he just going to go straight for the drop, or is he going to try to push the front as well? Both things certainly an option for him. Alright, going to grab those Marines first and lift them off. Wow, Dez has got no vision back here. Once those forges finish, he's going to have a little bit extra vision. Does he see it? Nope. Dez doesn't know. Dez does not know. Finally here is going to be spawning at the Marines, moving to the main. Hellions now getting dropped. Let's see how much economic damage QXC is able to do. Probes pulling back in time. QXC with the miss micro. Hellions end up doing nothing. It's going to unpower this, and which as a result will be unpowering the upgrades plus these 2 gateways. Is he going to stick in here or try to do some damage to these forces, or is he just going to pull back? Looks like he's just going to pull back right now, try to go for another pylon kill. Hellions getting lift off and placed down there on the low ground. Force fields prevent that from doing any damage. QXC gets the lift off though. QXC continuing to do some damage here. Observer Scout moving in the main. That's not going to really help Dez at all. He needs to deal with this a little bit better. Engaging those Marines. Here come the Hellions. Hellions. Hellions have free reign on the probes, and they are just doing work, son. They are doing work. 17 worker kills so far. That number's going to get a little bit larger. Some Stalker Warpins will be forcing these Hellions back. Also going to do a little bit of damage to that medevac. 24 workers killed. Still has 2 unpowered gateways. Still hasn't started up these upgrades. Already, guys, things are not looking too good for Dez. Taking some significant economic damage early on. QXC switching it up now into Marine Tank. The tank going to be some very strong defense here for him. Is not going with that siege tech. Now, tanks unupgraded are actually really strong, especially target firing down things like the Stalker. Their DPS is pretty solid, so they can certainly still be effective with that. We have another medevac also coming through. I still would love to see siege tech, but apparently that is nothing that QXC is interested in going with right now. Unbelievable, though, early game pressure there, and a really, really rough situation for Dez. He was just not able to properly defend against that at all. Now, with this Observer Scout, Dez does know what he is up against, but is that going to help him? That's the question. He is making a good transition here into Colossus with, of course, without siege tech. Those Colossus will be very, very strong against this just Marine tank force. And now, actually, all of a sudden, after such a strong opening, I am concerned now for QXC. Had he gotten siege tech, the Colossus wouldn't be as effective because they'd have to make sure they stay out of the siege range. But QXC, again, without siege tech, trying to make a push right now, is going to run up against some issues here against this Colossus. He is just starting that stim pack, so he's gonna have a very hard time against this one Colossus. Moving forward with that medevac, I do believe he spotted the Colossus as he pulled forward. Siege tech is just starting now, so QXC, I don't know if that was a mistake or if he just didn't plan to get it initially or what. I can't imagine that he wouldn't want siege tech though, so I think he just slipped up, to be honest with you. Dropping on the high ground is going to take out this one Stalker quite easily. Dez's forces moving across the map. Siege tech isn't finished. Now he's got some Marines on the high ground doing some damage. They will take out that forge most likely, but this is the problem. Colossus gets target fired. Oh, Dez doesn't micro it back, ends up losing the Colossus, but at the same time, Dez is able to take out the rest of QXC's forces. QXC forced to lift off over here. He did take out that forge. Be dropping again, and just very sloppy play here by Dez. Like, what the heck are those zealots doing? And someone answer that question for me. Nothing? Yeah, I didn't think so. QXC almost lost the medevac, was able to get away just in time. So that was quite an interesting exchange. I don't know. I mean, first of all, I'm surprised that Dez lost his Colossus right here because that was kind of unnecessary. Should have just microed it back from those tanks. It would have been okay. This is wrong map, by the way, but never mind, says Dez. Couldn't find the GSL version, says QXC. Alright, well, whatever. It happens. All right, QXC now moving out. His stim pack just about finished. He is making that transition into the more standard Marine Marauder medevac. Also now placing down a third orbital commander right over here in this position. So being that saturated right away. Coming out with those 1-1 upgrades. Concussive Shell also almost finished. Got another Colossus in play over here for Dez, and one more coming through as well. Thermal Lance now just starting. Don't know why Dez's Observer is sitting here and not actually scouting out. Would love to see him scouting out the forces or something at least. And actually I do wonder, did he spot that other one building? Okay, so he did know that another one was building. We got a Marine over here. We'll be forcing back that probe. Quick demise there for that Marine. Scouting factory making its way towards the third. Some unused bio over here for QXC. He's just rallying up his forces in that position. He's got 3 full medevacs right now. Or not completely full at least. And he's going to be pushing towards the third. Alright, so here's what's going to happen. QXC, multi-pronged attack here. At least that was what was about to happen. Looks like that's going to be next. Where's he going with this? Alright, here we go. Drop in. His forces over here get taken out quite easily. Stimming back with that. Finally dropping with his medevacs here in the mains. Should be stimming up that immediately. You can see the force over here for Dez making its way towards this drop. Once those Colossus get there, that's going to be a problem for QXC. Let's see, he moves around and tries to take it out. That's a vulnerable Colossus that he probably could have taken out. Focuses down the forge and stops the upgrade. Wow. Dez still no upgrades. QXC now with 1 weapon, just about to finish 1 armor. Medevac. It's taken out. Full medevac of units. Gets taken out over there. Gonna take a quick look here at the resources loss tab. They are pretty much dead even right now. QXC coming out with another command center over here. Has a lot of bio. Chilling out up front of his natural expansion. Also has transitioned into medevacs. Coming out now with Ghost as well. He's got 1 Ghost Academy in play. Hasn't done any upgrades yet for that. No personal cloaking or Mobius reactor. The surviving medevacs will be heading back home. Does have 1 chilling out over here as well, which QXC, do you know about? You can do anything with this? QXC. QXC! Nothing against the man. He is obviously a very strong player, much stronger than I will ever be at StarCraft 2, but this is some fairly sloppy play, and you know, I always was very impressed with QXC, but there's just a few mistakes here that's, unless this is on purpose, I don't know. Who knows? Push coming out here from Dez right now. Now we have a lot of Vikings in play here for QXC. 2 in production with 4 in play. It's going to put him at a total of 6. Plus we've got some Ghosts coming through. He's got 4 Ghosts already. Nice scan there from QXC, able to spot the forces of Dez. Dez now working down these destructible debris as he's getting ready to push right into the 3rd position. So QXC needs to come over here and get ready to deal with this. Lift off of the command center. And here comes the engagement. Vikings going straight for those Colossus. Haven't seen any force fields yet. Nice EMPs. Takes out all the energy. Vikings take out the Colossus. Dez calls the GG, and that's the series. Look at that. Alrighty, everyone, that does it here in the series between QXC and Dez. Thank you so much for watching. Some interesting play. That's the word I'll use. Interesting play between these 2 players. Thanks again for watching, guys. If you like the content, please subscribe. And as always, keep watching, keep owning.